And happy day to all of you out there. What a thing we are seeing right now. Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy committing the unforgivable sin. Even for Hollywood elites, they cannot stand what is happening. A major faux pas that is sending Harrison Ford to tears. To tears, ladies and gentlemen. On top of that, we've got Johnny Depp taking the W at Cannes. It's a Cues From You video. We're covering all the stuff you want us to. Plus, we've got a Muppets Mayhem review on the way. Here we go. And explaining entertainment, keeping you ahead of the culture curve. It's what we do each and every day here on the WDW Pro channel. Such an exciting thing to do. We enjoy it. We love it. We love sharing this time with you. We hope you are cutting out a little bit of your time each day to spend it with us. Here to talk about all of these various topics all around Hollywood. It has been, I cannot even tell you how busy it has been the last week. We can't cover it all, folks. But here to join us, to help us try to do it, is Floral from Under a Rock. Floral, welcome back.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here.
Now, folks, if you don't know Floral, you don't know this channel just yet. But hang in there. You'll find out. Floral does all of these wonderful commercials and ads and parody videos, and it's just fantastic stuff. Into puppeteering. He is going places, he and his crew, and we're just so excited to see it and get to be a part of his world. Not like the Little Mermaid part of your world. That's a totally different subject for a different day, although we may touch on it briefly. We'll see.
There is a troll parody about it.
There you go. What we're going to start off with today, though, has to do with Harrison Ford. It has to do with what Kathleen Kennedy has done to this man, what she has done to entertainment, and again, unforgivable. Let's dive in. As we do, if you like content like this, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and you can stick it to those algorithms when you click it. We're talking about the notification bell. Here we go. Out of Reuters, emotional Harrison Ford reflects on his years as Indiana Jones. Harrison Ford teared up on Friday as he recalled his years playing Indiana Jones after the Cannes premiere of what he has said will be his last outing in the blockbuster film franchise. I love to work and I love this character and I love what it brought into my life, he told journalists at the festival. Is it not evident, the 80-year-old added when asked why he was setting aside the role now? Now, we won't go too much farther into this. We're just going to use this as our starting point. But Flora, I was watching Good Morning America, Harrison Ford on there. He was quite emotional. And one of the particular quotes I found interesting was that he said that he has enjoyed playing the character even when it has been poorly received. Mm-hmm. And I suspect he's not just talking about the Crystal Skull situation, because he is no dummy. And the people at Lucasfilm, well, they may be unwise, but they're not dummies either. And Robert Iger is no fool, even if he has sent Disney in the wrong direction. Everybody knows, looking at the top critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, this is an absolute catastrophe. You would never, under normal circumstances, ever want your big film. By the way, this is one of the most expensive films of all time. $350 million estimated production budget alone. We're not even talking advertising. You think it was cheap to put it at Cannes with all the fanfare they did? No. So $350 million budget production alone. This is a hugely important film for the Walt Disney Company. It is going to sit for over a month. It is going to sit with a rotten score, almost certainly. You can't even imagine the pressure going out to journalists right now to please review this positively, to get it out of this. It is the worst marketing faux pas you could imagine. And it's an unforgivable sin for Kathleen Kennedy, even if she is Hollywood royalty. Floral, do you think that Harrison Ford is not just emotional because this is his last time playing Indiana Jones, it's his last time with the fedora, he is getting older, but rather, I suspect, and I want to hear your thoughts on it, he's actually emotional in sort of the same way that we were when we saw Luke Skywalker treated the way he was. When Mark Hamill came out of that first showing, he looked sick to his stomach. And I wonder if Harrison Ford is having that same moment where he saw the film and realized that attempting to save this character from Crystal Skull went in the opposite direction. What do you think?
So first, I would like to throw out little thought when you had mentioned how mentioned how the character wasn't super well received positively. Well, I'm wondering if he's even harkening back to how Temple of Doom was received initially, because from what I understand, okay, it wasn't as well received initially. It's actually
okay. So let's talk about that for a moment. What was pushed back on that one though was largely sort of a parental pushback because people thought it was too dark for kids to go see.
Absolutely. And so I think that there's a little bit of that in there as well. Right. So, and I just want to say that this is a potential, right? Because again, I don't want to make too many drastic assumptions. But at the same time, like, I think that he is emotional. Now, I know when I've left places, work environments where it was even toxic, like, you grow relationships with people, and some of the people anyway, and you do grieve that loss. So obviously that is taking place there, right? He's grieving the loss of the relationships because, I mean, he might have health concerns that we don't know about. So he might be emotional because of that. He might be emotional because he that is that recognition, like, I'm never going to be able to do a role like this ever again. And after this movie, who's going to want me to do this, right? There's that humanity setting in. And I don't think Harrison Ford has ever thought too highly of himself in that regard, but I think he's been fairly aware. But I think that there's this reality that life is moving on, and he's not going to be. That being said,
in some ways, mortality is just no fun. Getting old is not for the weak, and I don't recommend it. It's a 3-letter word in my household, I'll tell you.
It's true.
Nobody who got old liked it, and I don't recommend it.
And
let's take a look at how bad this is, though, and then we'll continue with your thoughts.
Sure.
I want people to understand how bad this is. We've got 29 reviews in now for Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny. 52% is the score.
It's gone up.
This is one of the most expensive films of all time. This needed 80% plus, and you're exactly right. It has gone up, probably due to people being pressured into doing so. But I want to show you what, if we look at this is what is drastically alarming. Out of the top critics, that's going to be the people who are part of larger publications. They can't have their arms twisted by the mouse. 37%. You don't see that number that low very often. You certainly don't see it out of a competent studio. This is the kind of score, 37% out of top critics. This is the kind of score that embarrasses, that it portends a film that could actually be difficult to watch. And I want to set aside one argument quickly. That argument being, I have heard many people say, well, the critics don't like it, and I don't like the critics. Therefore, I will love the film. And I'm here to, I hate to do this to everybody out there who might be thinking this, but here's why that's a flawed strategy, flawed way of thinking. And no offense meant to anybody out there thinking it, but the critics have every reason in the world to support this film. This is made by Kathleen Kennedy. They revere her. It's made by Lucasfilm. They want to see its redemption because they believe in the things that Lucasfilm is doing, things that we don't often like. Robert Iger back in the saddle at Disney. They want to support him. These critics are on the same page. They can't click the like button on it. That tells you how bad it must be, because they have every reason in the world. They're partying it up with Lucasfilm.
It's
till
true.
1 a.m. together. They're buddies. They're pals. They can't even do it. It's going to be bad.
Because I'm one of those people, and I know you know that, but I'm what my thinking is, though, is it Bob Iger allowing the journalist to take the gloves off because him and Kathleen don't have that great relationship?
Even more interesting,
and that's
theory on this. Yes.
So, like,
you think Iger has told the critics, take her out?
Yes, I think
I dropped the Star Cruiser. I dropped the Willow being wiped out. You guys finish her off.
It's just another thing, right?
I love it.
I mean, obviously, it's all speculation. It's all good fun. But,
no, that's fun.
But it's. I'm wondering if that's an element of it. But But anyway, so I think that, but there's still that like reserve note where it's like it's been ingrained into us from like, okay, these guys are reviewing it poorly. Is this actually somewhat good? Like, I think none of us are expecting it to be great, but does this mean that actually, like, if we watch it with low expectations, like, will we have fun? Right?
If we watch it with low expectations. Well, it depends on how low those expectations can go.
Yeah, no, exactly. So, but before we jump into Johnny Depp, though, there is that whole element when I know what people have talked about it is, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And I'm wondering, again, as we were talking about Harrison Ford and why he was emotional, is he emotional because he knows this isn't a solid finish that he would have wanted? And is this the legacy that he wants to leave behind? Right? Because again, this could be his last movie ever. Right, he's no spring chicken, so
it's probably his last leading role film for sure.
Yeah, so unless he does something like what's the movie, like a Walter Matthau?
He could become a Clint Eastwood kind of character, I guess. You know,
he could, or the comedy characters, right? Like the few the old guys.
Well, I think back
and forth.
I think regardless, you know, no matter what happens here, Harrison Ford, John Williams, they have been done dirty.
Yeah.
The ages they are at, John Williams, especially in his 90s, when you ask people to give up 6 months, a year, 2 years of their lives to do something like this at a time when their time is so precious, so limited, just by virtue of the fact that we are mortal, I think it's a major disservice to put out something that is being reported as having been this bad. You have to remember that the biggest cinephiles, film aficionados were at the premiere at Cannes in France. And they were reporting in Variety that it was so bad that they were talking during the film, which they never, ever do. Of course, Disney promoting the idea that there was a 5-minute ovation. Folks, that's part of the ritual over there. If you do a good job, you get a 10 to 15-minute ovation. They're not telling you that, of course. But let's talk about somebody else who's been done dirty when it comes to Hollywood. Johnny Depp. This out of CBS News. Anymore. That's right. Simran Singh, I'm going to hope I got that right, is the author on this one. Johnny Depp says he has no further need for Hollywood. At the Cannes Film Festival, actor Johnny Depp said he has no further need for Hollywood during an appearance at the Cannes Film Festival for the premiere of his film, Jean du Barry. The actor met with the press to answer questions after the opening night of his French film, directed by Maïwen, in which Depp plays King Louis. What number is that? Let's see if you can get it, Floral. What number?
The
15th.
15th. Yeah, 15th. I'm like, look at my. Well, you had me anyway.
And speaks in French. Jean du Barry, maybe it's Jean du Barry, I don't know. Marks Depp's first movie since 2020's Minamata. I don't remember that one. Is it Minamata? I don't know. Depends on which language it is. But kudos to me on the French accent, I think, right? Jean du Barry. Anyway. Yeah. Well, let's say au revoir to that for a moment, and let's just talk about Johnny Depp. This man treated exceedingly poorly in the press, by Hollywood, etc. He does not care anymore. Floral, is this the way Harrison Ford is going to have to start being more like Johnny Depp and just say, screw you all?
Well, he has it in him. We know that.
That's true.
But I think, obviously, he's done. He doesn't need their money. We know he's turned down franchises opportunities, or coming back to franchise opportunities, I should say. I don't know. I just think he just really doesn't care, because when all of those people stabbed him in the back, like why do you care anymore? You're done.
When you discover poo in your bed, and I'm not talking about Winnie, but when you discover poo in your bed,
he referred to it as a grumpy in the trial.
Yes, when there's a grumpy in your bed, a gooey grumpy hanging down there around where your feet would go, or worse. Sure. That's right. When that happens, and then Hollywood is stabbing you, well, you're getting both bodily fluids flowing at the same time, and you just don't like that very much at all. So I get it. Now, I want to say, too, every week, we give the opportunity for members of this channel to vote on topics they would like. And so this week, members of the channel voted they wanted more coverage of Cannes. This was earlier in the week. And I apologize. We're just now getting to talking about some of this stuff. But there was so much that came out in regards to Galactic Star Cruiser. We haven't even covered some stuff. I mean, we haven't even covered the types of content that Disney is cutting. There's an entire story in what Disney is cutting from Disney Plus for tax write-offs that we're going to be bringing out an expose early this coming week, but it's just been impossible. It's an avalanche. It's an avalanche of Disney burning down. Not so. Well, Floral, let's get into those cues from you, from the members. Beautiful. Of course, we trust the members of this channel each and every week to send us questions. This is for those members who are at the Tier 2+, so the entry-level tier. You get to have all kinds of exclusive content, but higher than that, we start giving the steering wheel to some of these people. And these people are fantastic. We love our members, starting with Theme Park Silver, a VI Pro level member who sends in a question. Now, he is looking for a comment from Lorne. Of course, Lorne Connor is a Star Wars encyclopedia incarnate. That said,
Theme Park Silver, I have of Star Wars. He knows a lot about a bunch of random things.
I don't know what Lorne's IQ level is, but it is way up there.
Super retention.
Theme Park Silver, I have bad news. I don't think that Lorne has been on Star Tours, at least in Walt Disney World. He may have been in Disneyland. But if Lorne comes on the show next, I promise we'll get his opinion. But Floral, go ahead and read this, and then we'll give our answers best we can, and we'll bring this back up when Lorne's back on the channel.
Next time Lorne is around for cues from you, can save it for a different week if necessary. Gonna have to. I would like to know the panel's thoughts on Star Tours versus Adventure Continues. Mostly curious about Adventure Continues 1.0. Feel free to ignore the sequel era version. I sure do. Theming, place in canon, ride experience, etc.
So here's my quick thoughts. Floral, have you been on that ride? Have you ever done?
I've never been to Disney. I'm too poor.
Okay, well, here we go. Star Tours, the original. Today, if you attempted to ride, it would be very difficult to ride. It was done at a time when special effects are not what they are today. It was a little bit nauseating. I'm not trying to critique it in terms of the merit of the ride. I'm trying to critique it in terms of the technology difference. And so it was a little bit rough. In terms of the story, the Adventure Continues was pretty good. I liked it a lot. I really liked the opportunity to ride different settings that gave people the reason, the impetus to return to the attraction over and over. In terms of what we're at now, it has become sort of a grab bag of opportunities for Disney to hawk the latest Star Wars, which people don't like. And that's problematic. I do miss Pee Wee Herman. I think his name is Paul Rubin. Is that who played Pee Wee Herman? Paul Rubin? Is it Paul Rubens? I don't remember now. But I do miss him playing the little pilot that was in the front of the ride. He added a lot.
Paul Rubens.
Yeah, I would like to have that back. Okay, Paul Rubens. By the way, he continues to look exceedingly young for his age. It's impressive. All right, let's get this next one.
All right, read more. Personally, I loved reading Zahn's books. Books for me, those are the sequels. Start of 25 years reading EU books with a passion till the Vong invasion. Zahn's first trilogy and the Jedi Academy trilogy by Kevin J. Anderson, who had plenty of contact back and forth with Timothy Zahn when writing his new trilogy in contrast to the new movies. For me, choosing the title Heir to the Empire shows laziness and lack of creativity, or to lure people in who have once heard about the books and expect a great story like it, but feel it will be a bigger stab / insult to this proper old school, proper George Lucas Star Wars, who know the story by heart, and that the story of Felony won't come near as good as the book Zahn wrote. And if we even get the Dark Force Rising in Last Command, and I highly doubt we get the Emperor's Hand, Mara Jade, as she played a big part alongside against Luke, and her role grew in the following books. Yet, even if we do get Mara Jade in the adopted Heir to the Empire storyline, it's most likely her character will be replaced by a new Reva, as Hollywood seems to be allergic to ginger people and replaces them with black actors everywhere.
Well, Olaf, thank you so much for that question you've got there, that comment. What I would say simply is that what we're seeing right now is the same thing we've been seeing. That is Dave Filoni taking the legacy content of Star Wars, the extended universe source material that Kathleen Kennedy once said did not exist, and then retrofitting it so that his characters are now the stars of the show. He'll throw in, I am sure, a few nods to the original trilogy so that they can try to get fans to come back, but I think we're past that point. I think you're exactly right. with how you are assessing this, and I don't think any of us should be surprised given the high intellect, high IQ of all of our fantastic members here on the channel.
Maverick Pilgrim. With the recent rebound of Guardians of the Galaxy 3, will there be a new pattern with Marvel and other
There's a new pattern, all right. We'll talk about it when you finish this. Oh, there's a new pattern.
1, opening weekend, lower box office numbers, more diehard fans and reviewers. 2, if the movie hits with fans, higher than expected second, third week box office numbers. This new pattern would seemingly make Rotten Tomatoes and other career critics less impactful or even irrelevant. The fans hold power to drive the box office, as we've already seen with other films like Mario. Thoughts? Well, if I can add anything to that, I would just say that obviously the critics are becoming less impactful, well, have been less impactful or meaningful or even irrelevant for the last 5 years or so. They've
Since 2016.
Yeah, for sure. For sure by that point. And so, I mean, you can more speak to the pattern, but obviously the big thing is no one cares what the critics have to say. And that's why we go back to that whole Indiana Jones conversation, right? Because we're all looking at it being like, what's actually going on here? Like, is this like 4D chess going on? Like,
absolutely. Well, here's the new pattern. The new pattern is suck. I mean, I hate to put it that's all I can say. Guardians of the Galaxy is one of the biggest segments of Marvel. It's one of the biggest. And that's not how it was when the first one came out, but it sure is how it is now. That movie coming out as low as it did and still having this tremendous hold. I mean, kudos to it. Oh, it's got a great word of mouth. It's going up against the latest Fast and Furious and holding. But
my son is freaking out. I'm sorry, Pro.
It's all good. It opened up poorly, and the whole deal about it opened up poorly is that's probably now where we're going to be going forward with Marvel films. Now, they're going to suck because they're not going to have the kind of films that will pull in an audience. They're substituting out Captain America. They're giving us the Marvels. They're giving us these not even C tier, but maybe F tier kind of characters that are not going to draw an audience at all. And we are going to be in a pattern. This is the pattern. The pattern is going to be flop after flop after flop until we get to Deadpool next Christmas. That's where we are. All right, I'll take over for a little bit until Floral rejoins us if he can. Liam Lionheart says, I looked into the number of units that Nintendo had for Zelda. Looks to me it's gaining steam. That's correct. If this trend keeps going, will Disney throw another hissy fit? I'm impressed. Well, they can throw all the hissy fits they want, Liam. Nothing is going to happen in terms of what Disney can do to respond. When the media goes on and on about what a strike this is against Florida, Disney's not moving those Imagineers to Lake Nona. That is a real spin, because what that means is, and we know now, we'll have a video coming out soon, Universal's going to add a huge Zelda expansion to their parks, a huge expansion. They have a new theme park coming. Disney is not moving Imagineers because Disney has nothing that they're going to work on in response. And that isn't just at theme parks. That's going all around. It's going to be rough because things like Zelda, things like Mario, these are franchises that are rising, and Disney does not have a counter to it. In fact, when I saw Lee Cravalho, the original voice actress behind Moana, who is perfect to play Moana in the live-action series, when she came out and said she will not be Moana due to trying to find, basically, someone who can accurately represent Moana on the screen in terms of her Polynesian background. Ali'i Cravalho is Polynesian. She's just also Puerto Rican, and that disqualifies her in today's world. These are the kinds of issues that are destroying Disney. Oh my gosh. So hissy fit away if they want. Indy Phantom, one of our favorites out there, says, with the astounding news of the total failure of the Galactic Star Cruiser, it is hard to imagine that Galaxy's Edge is going to continue unaffected. Could we finally see a righting of wrongs and a desperate shift to original trilogy theming? Well, not yet, Indy. I would like to have that same enthusiasm and optimism, but I think what's going to happen first is we have to get through these first two films, which have been slated. And I also think that Kathleen Kennedy will have to leave Lucasfilm, and we will have to have a change of direction. So she cannot simply be replaced by somebody who buys into her same ideals, but rather we will have to have somebody who is ready to start cleaning house. We are not close to that yet. And because we're not close to that yet, just in terms of shifting the entire focus of Lucasfilm, we're not closer to a fix, unfortunately. Do I think that Disney will try to drum up some original trilogy stuff in the meantime that is ancillary, kind of to try to fix this problem they have? Sure, but it will be a Band-Aid, not a complete rehaul of their thinking. Darth Apathy says, if you were offered a speaking role, named character, non-extra role at scale pay in a Star Wars title, would you take it and why? And this is to all panelists on when this is read. Floral appears to be rejoining. Floral, let me ask you this question and you tell me the answer here.
Okay.
If you were offered a speaking role, named character, non-extra role at scale pay in a Star Wars title, would you take it and why?
I would say yes, because it's an opportunity to try something new and to possibly have influence. But at the same time, do I really want to be associated with those things?
I don't know. My answer to this is no, I would not do this because I love what I'm doing. And if I did this, I would have to sign an NDA, and there's no way that I could come on here and explain entertainment and keep all of you ahead of the culture curve. So no, I love what I do too much. I love sharing my time with each and every one of you. It is it's an honor. It's a joy. Discrapto, Floral, read what we've got here.
A few hours ago, Nintendo made a statement saying that in just 3 days, they have sold 10 million copies, having the same record as Pokemon Violet Scarlet. I'm assuming this is with Zelda?
Zelda, yes.
With these
Tears
kind
of the Kingdom.
With these kind of sales, I often ask myself, how do Hollywood executives see video games often making more money than some of their blockbusters?
Floral, what do you think?
Jealousy.
I'll tell you this. Described a great comment, great question. Here's how they feel. I was in a big box retailer today, and I discovered something that we're going to follow up on. We're going to start looking at some other stores to see if this is what's happening. But I discovered that at this particular retailer, if you measured the retail space given now, that Mario and Sonic combined now had more retail space than Star Wars. So I think that's how they view it. And don't be surprised, don't be shocked if Zelda starts showing up on those retail spaces along with other Nintendo Cinematic Universe characters on the way. All right, next up, we've got Death Scythe, Floral.
With the ongoing successes of Nintendo games and movies, how long until other studios will finally learn that giving the customers the products they want equals money in the bank? It's a great question. It depends. Right now, I think it's a matter of priorities for them, right? They don't care about what the customer wants. They care about what they think the customer needs. And so you're seeing a slight shift with like group like Nintendo, but I think overall they're just stuck in their ways, to be honest with you.
Well, there's two things happening. That is that, one, the studios thought that they could increase their demographics simply by pandering to new demographics using existing intellectual properties, and they would not lose the old demographics. That has proven to be false. At the same time, the studios also bought into postmodern neo-Marxist ideologies, not in terms of their businesses, not in terms of the way they act as a business. They're still fully capitalist there, but rather they thought they were going to placate the masses, the young masses who are buying into this stuff. And it turns out that when you do so and you undermine the hero's journey, the monomyth, etc., people don't like that even if they say they do. People want heroes to believe in. That is what should sell in Hollywood. That is what continues to sell amongst, well, everybody out there. We want to have stars that shine. We do not want to bring down the divine. Floral, last one. And appears Floral has stepped away for just a moment. No, Floral, you're there.
Sorry, there we go. Sorry. Three-way ladder match. Son's just up the stairs crying for three-way ladder match. Bob Iger, Bob Chapek, and Ron DeSantis. Who wins?
Well, he may be crying because he's thinking about Bob Iger and Bob Chapek both trying to get up a ladder. So, yeah. What do you think, Floral?
DeSantis owns the land. He wins.
That's right. He owns the place the ladder will be. So there you go. I don't know. I'll tell you this. DeSantis, and this is not a political channel. We're not here to be political at all. but there's no way for Disney to win in Florida. And that's been true ever since we started reporting this. The legislature has the power to do what the legislature has been doing. There is one exception to that. I think that the legislature did perhaps overstep on the monorail issue. But other than that, everything that I've looked at, there's no way for Disney to come out on top. And the more that Disney pushes back, the more they put themselves into a position where they're going to suffer for it. So Disney, wave the white flag, see if you can work out a deal behind the scenes. You've got to save face, but you've also got to save your money. And you're losing tens, if not hundreds of billions or $1 trillion with this situation in Florida. Mm-hmm. It's huge. All right, Floral, we are going to go to an interview regarding a new Disney Plus show. So let's go ahead and do that, ladies and gentlemen. All right, and joining us now to talk about a new Disney Plus piece of content. Surprisingly, it is not being wiped out like so much else, like Willow and more that we'll be talking about later this week. By the way, there is a connective tissue between what is being taken out of Disney Plus. But Muppets Mayhem made it out onto Disney Plus, not yet cut for tax purposes. So watch it while you can. Floral, you are here to talk to us. Excuse me. You're here to talk to us about what's going on with that show. Was it good? Was it bad? Does it uphold the legacy of the Muppets, or is it an embarrassment? What do you say, Floral?
Well, I think one of the best ways to go about it would be go through some of the pros and cons. So I'll start with the good. First off, considering it's a Disney Plus adventure, it's a little bit more consistent and kind of more focused than traditional Disney Plus adventures, and it's definitely better than Muppets Haunted Mansion. And
yes, it is.
Yeah, because that was anyway. I'll tie that into one of my cons. Anyway, Animal, he was done correctly, and he was fun because it is just centered around Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem. So there's not really any other Muppets. It's just them.
No cameos then from other Muppets from the main roster.
Well,
spoiler, right?
There's one, literally one. But anyway, that's actually one of the pros, I guess. So Zoot, though, who is also done by Dave Goelz, is he was really good. He was probably actually the standout, to be honest with you. Even though he's got so few lines, but everything was like just nailed, and you can tell that. Though everything else you can tell he's just mailing it in. So this was clearly just something he actually enjoyed. But Mad Fogel, believe it or not, did a great job as Floyd. He's not Kermit. He's a terrible Kermit.
He is really bad. He's also a terrible Big Bird. He plays Big Bird too, right?
Yeah, he did. Well, yeah, not anymore, but he did.
Okay. Well, he was terrible. So I'm glad he's gone as Big Bird. Yeah, no offense. He just can't do the voices at all.
No, just those two characters, really. Like, he's so good, just not Kermit. I would say he did way better Big Bird than Kermit. So he's anyway, he's really good. Just not as Kermit. So Disney, do better. Then episode 7, like that was actually the standout episode. It was the one that was the best. It was the most well done, funniest moments, best cameos overall. Like from stars, you got Peter Jackson, Morgan Freeman, and others. And the Peter Jackson, Morgan Freeman cameos, they were perfect. They were on point. It was honestly hilarious. And then the ending episode, number 10, that's where the cameo was at the very end, and that was the Muppet cameo. I mean, it was actually probably the best one. And it's
Let's talk about the cameo. Spoilers, if you're out there, we'll just do this. You guys know to pause or skip, but talk about the cameo in a little bit more detail, Floral.
Well, it lasts about 20 seconds, and Stetler and what's his name? Oh,
Waldorf.
In my head. Waldorf. It's them at the concert.
Perfect. Yeah. Excellent.
So, I mean, it's classically them, and it was fun, and it was probably the best Muppet cameo because it was the only one.
What would you rate this out of scale of 1 to 10? 10 being terrible, 10 being perfect.
The whole thing? Oh, jeez. 5.
Okay, and you are, I assume, Floral, given your visage, you are quite the Muppet fan, I would assume.
Yeah, for sure.
So you
for sure.
would be more inclined to be forgiving for this, and still
Totally.
just a 5 out of 10.
Or hopeful, more hopeful with them than Star Wars. That's for
What
sure.
do you think is still going on with the Muppets and the performers behind them? Why are they unable to find the joy and the inspiration in the comedy that Jim Henson was able to do so well?
Well, Jim Henson, he just didn't care. He was very irreverent. So he just, he honored whatever he was working with. He honored the people that he was working with, but he didn't care about the material. He just thought it had fun. So they don't have fun anymore. And you can tell.
Oh.
You hear the stories. You listen to the guys at their at the Comic-Cons and whatever else where they're talking about the stuff, and they're always talking about how they were joking and playing pranks on each other all the time. It doesn't happen anymore. So
Gotcha.
it's
That's very sad. Well, maybe
yeah,
there'll have to be somewhere on this big web out there. There'll have to be some new characters that sort of find that spirit. I don't know where we'll find those. I can't even think where. Wait a minute. Oh, have you ever thought about the fact you look a little bit like a Muppet? And folks, that'll do it for us. How about that? Another Cues from You success, I believe. Such an honor and a joy to hand it over to the members out there to let you ask us questions. We hope we handled it well. Indiana Jones, Johnny Depp, the Muppets, all of that, plus all of those poignant questions you sent us. It was fun. Floral, where can people find you on this great, big, beautiful web out there?
You can find me on Floral from Under a Rock. We do a show every Wednesday where we don't explain culture. We just try to have fun. And it's more like a late night show where we joke around, have different guests get to know them on a level that maybe you didn't get to know them before, and have little stupid skits, kind of like what you see with the commercials and all that kind of stuff. And for the last half of the show, try to do some sort of game, right? So right now we're doing YouTuber Showdown. So if you are a fan of just ridiculous fights, like you ask your parents or your kids ask you, like, who would win in a fight? Sabrina the Teenage Witch or the Hulk? This is the kind of thing that we're doing, except it's YouTubers being pitted against each other. And so for the finals, it's actually Eric July versus Polly. So if you want to see that SmackDown go, show up for it. Otherwise, you can find me around places on chats and stuff.
A battle of great facial hair on the way. Well, folks, we hope you enjoyed this video. If you like content like this, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and you can stick it to those algorithms when you click it. We're talking about that notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Tell us what you think, and if you want to drop a question in this next time, the next round, next week, you're going to be a member, so hop on in. The water is fine. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and you know what? Keep having fun.
Floral, it's time for you to walk the plank.
What? Why?
Cuz you haven't subscribed to WDW Pro yet. Nor bookmark thatparkplace.com on your web browser to get great articles from great contributors.
What?